Welcome to today's live. I am coming from you from a different location. So once some people are here, I'm very curious to see what the sound is like. But in today's video, we're going to be going over a bunch of cool topics. I'm going to have some guests. It's going to be great. And we're going to go from there. So as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and get everything prepped up. I appreciate you guys joining. Let me see here. Copy the link. So, sorry about all this beginning stuff right here. It's not necessarily what's exciting about it. Let me see here. All right. Hey, what's up, Lori? How are you? You're number one. You're the first one here. I appreciate you. That's awesome. We got some more people. So, kind of nailed the start, guys. I apologize. I had some stuff happen at the house. So I'm actually in a hotel right now, and there's some issues with the internet. All my fault, of course, but nonetheless issues. And by any chance, do you guys hear like any kind of background noise, like anything that's happening in the background? Because I don't know how to get rid of it, but like there's this buzz, and it would annoy me. So hopefully it doesn't annoy you guys. Let me see here. It's a very slight buzz, but a buzz nonetheless. And I do have a guest that's going to be joining us today. It is let me see here. One second, I'm almost done. It is the Fellas. If you guys are not familiar with the Fellas they do cartoons, very cool stuff, real stony, I guess you would call it. A lot of stuff that if you smoke weed or if you enjoy the same sort of entertainment that people typically do while high, I think you're gonna love what these dudes are doing. They reached out to me a while back. I let them know that I'd be into working with them on some projects, and they're just pretty rad. So I just shot over the link. I also one thing I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start sending these links to like random people and famous people, whoever, because you never know when someone's going to click a link and be like, fuck it, let me try this out. So who knows? We might have some other people join in tonight. We might have some celebrity appearances. We might have, who knows? Who really fucking knows how it's going to go? But at the end of the day, we're going to do what we got to do. So you're smoking as we speak. Right on, Zachary. That's dope, dude. That's dope. So how has everybody been to start off? Again, if you've been here for a minute, I apologize about the slow start. It was a little bit of a process getting everything going here. But as of today, it's been a while since I did a live. I definitely want to get more on top of those. Also, I just had a lot of stuff going on at the house, and I'm making excuses at this point, I understand. But getting the actual video done, the lizard people, because in the last live, if you guys joined in, I had the backdrop that I had put up, because that was my thing. I want the video just to look great, because you guys obviously deserve a great video, and I just want to make sure I put that out for everybody. But so I'm going to try to film that video after we do this live today. So after this, I'm going to go ahead and try filming that. And my whole thing is, I feel like I was thinking a little bit too hard while I was filming it the first time. So moving forward, I'm just going to kind of do it like I do these lives. And I almost thought about just doing the video as a live and then keeping it up. But that's on the back burner for now. So before this live went up, I actually put out a Instagram poll, and or a poll, however you would call it. I'm not exactly sure what the name of it is, but it was a question. The question was, what topics would you like to hear on tonight's live? So I got a fair amount, actually. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to go through those, and we're going to talk about them. To start, we had a dragoon person who would like to talk about pyramids. So the Instagram is Let's Mind Travel, the same Instagram or the same name that you're seeing on this live right here. So and anybody, you could always put this in the comments if you have something you want to talk about. I am, out of respect though, I am going to go over the ones on Instagram first. So the first one I got was Dragoon Person. Shout out to you if you are here with us. If not, if you're watching at a later time, right on. Wanted to talk about the pyramids. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the pyramids first. It looks as though our first guest, the Fellas, are going to be joining us in just a second here. But before that, just to kind of give you guys a little bit on the pyramids, I did do a video. You can check it out on the channel. But my belief is the pyramids were here before humans as we know it were here, and they're legends, and not like legends, you know, like Michael Jordan or something. I'm talking legends like in a video game, on a map. And I feel like there's a lot of information encoded within the pyramids, and we are actively finding these things out. And that's why there's that whole man fear time, yet time fear the pyramids, because I believe that within the pyramids is the ultimate truth. And if we found that out, it would destroy the constructs of time. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and let the fellas on right now. Let's see the fellas, just so you know, if you're not wearing headphones, you are going to want to turn on the echo cancellation that's on the microphone right there. So if you click next to the microphone, it'll have echo cancellation. If you're not rocking some headphones, make sure you do that, or else it'll sound like shit. Nobody likes that. So let's go ahead and rock out, dude. Hello, fellas. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Can't complain. Just 1 second here. I need to adjust my output so I can hear y'all properly. Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Dope, dude. I hear you guys better now. So why don't you go ahead and, I guess your name's right there. So for people that aren't necessarily able to read or see your names, it looks like we got John Mercer. Raise your hand, John Mercer.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of the other way around. So, and Sam 9 is going to be on the left-hand side, correct?
Yep.
So these guys are the fellas. The fellas are a collective of individuals reigning on the East Coast. I don't know how specific you want to get about where you guys are at, but on the East Coast, and you guys do cartoons, super rad shit. So why don't you guys just kind of introduce yourself a little bit, and then we are going to talk about some cool conspiracies and stuff of that nature after the introduction. So why don't you guys give us a little bit of backstory, and if you can, just make sure you talk kind of loud.
I'm John Mercer. I'm the lead animator, the sole animator for everything, and we do everything on a frame-by-frame basis, so that way it makes it look more smooth. Kind of like back in the day, they did everything frame-by-frame, and I think it turns out a lot better that way. This is Sam 9.
I'm Sam. I'm the lead writer for FellaToons, and I do a lot of stuff with just creating ideas and just writing the show.
Dope. So when did you guys start? How long have the fellas been active?
About 7 months.
Yeah, about 7 months.
Best 7 months of your life, or what?
Do what?
I said, has it been the best 7 months of your life, or what?
Yeah. It's been the fastest 7 months of my life.
I didn't even realize it's been so long. I was about to say 3 months.
Yeah.
Hey, that just means you guys are having a blast doing it. You know, time seems to be secondary when we're enjoying ourselves. It's only more prevalent when we're going through some shit, I think. You know, so you guys are having a rad time. How long have you guys been in the fields that you're practicing? So the lead animator would be John. So John, how long have you been in the animation game, drawing, all that stuff?
I've been drawing my entire life, basically. My uncle, he lives in Cleveland. He's a famous artist up there. He sells like actual figures and paintings and stuff to museums. My grandma on that same side is also an artist. My grandma on my other side, on my biological dad's side, is also an artist. So I've just been growing up around a lot of musicians and artists my entire life, and that's where everything basically comes from.
That's dope, dude. So you said your grandpa and your grandma, was that it? Or you said your father is actually a famous artist?
My uncle, he lives in Cleveland.
Okay,
and,
gotcha.
Both my grandmas on both sides, they're artists, and they like do all kinds of stuff with art all the time. So I just started making like tiny little flip books and stuff on paper whenever I was a kid, and then I guess that's where my interest for animation really started.
Cool, dude. And Sam, how long have you been writing, man? How did that start for you?
Honestly, I haven't been writing for super long, but what really got me into like the creation of stories and stuff is Dungeons and Dragons. I make a lot of my own campaigns and stuff, and I was just thinking like if I could make up something like this, I could probably make up something something cooler in my opinion.
That's dope. I have a nephew actually who does that. He writes. I haven't been around it. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons myself, but the premise, from what I understand, is somebody writes a pretty elaborate story, right? And then they read it, and then you kind of play the game accordingly to a degree.
Yep, exactly.
Hell yeah, dude. So as far as the fellas, you guys have been doing that for 7 months. It's a frame by frame animation. Because I'm able to, because I have the technology, is there like a YouTube channel or anything like that we can kind of pull something up so we can speak on it and see it at the same time?
What do you think is the best thing to pull up? Episode 4, probably, on our FellaToons channel.
Yep, if you look up FellaToons and just go to the channel, it should be the D&D episode 4.
So FellaToons, right? That's what it is?
Yep.
Cool, dude. And then you have some episodes here.
Yeah, and obviously, I don't know if you've seen any clips or anything. Our animation process has gotten a lot better since this episode, but this is our best directed out. That's out yet.
Cool, man. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and figure out what I'm doing here. You know, that's always important. What the hell am I doing here? So we got this. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and add that onto the screen, and we'll check it out, dude. So how many episodes deep are you guys right now? What episode are you guys on currently?
We're currently in the process of making episode number 7. We have the 4 main episodes out and those 2 holiday specials.
Yes.
Dope, dude.
We don't have a whole lot of content out yet, but we have a lot of clips on Instagram, and we've got a lot of ideas prepped.
What would you guys say is obviously, man? I'm just looking at it here, right? We got a weed leaf. We got Snake Hill, which I'm guessing it plays into the theme of the show. We got a bong, and we got this other thing going on. I believe that might even be a window. I'm not sure. So is there an underlying topic? Is there a kind of theme that runs throughout the show? Do you want to give us a little bit of context on that?
I mean, not really. It's just kind of us coming up with ideas, and it's more episodic than it is storyline so far, but we do have storyline to plan forward into another season.
How I explain it to people is it's a group of 4 fellas who do crazy stuff and go on adventures.
There it is, dude. I like it. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of this, man, so everyone can check it out.
Perfect roll every time.
Chester, hit that. How's it going, man? Oh, fuck, fellas, look.
Oh, fuck, it's the Fella Force.
Alright, just pull it out and be cool. Maybe he didn't notice us.
Shit!
Well, if it ain't the fellas.
My eyes red.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucked.
Hey fellas, your eyes are looking kind of funky, in my opinion.
Come on, man. You know I got allergies and stuff, man. I mean, I don't even know what you're talking about, man. Come on now.
I can smell that reefer from 2 miles away. I was down the road, down past Sheets and Go Mart, and I smelled you fellas going down the road. You guys are speeding and smelling like skunk and such.
Officer, I don't have anything on me, man. You can search my car, man. I mean, you can even spread my cheeks, man, and search my crevice.
Well, I've been down in your crevice quite a few times, fella, but you know, I get off work early today. I'm going to go home to my wife, sit in bed next to her.
All right, so at this point, I think what I'm going to do is, because I feel like we're at a point where what's going to happen? You know, is that kind of the next thing? Is there like a crescendo within the episode?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop it there. I linked it in the comments here. So guys, after this live, this is episode 4. So there's 3 episodes before this. There's episodes after this. I already see comments that you guys are loving it. So I don't want to give everything away, you know? I don't want to show everything on the first date. So why don't you guys go ahead and go check that out, do your thing. And yes, and let's get back to some conversation, guys. So you have FellaToons. It sounds like from the conversation I had with, I believe it was John, right? John, you're the one that I've talked to before, correct? Yeah. So you guys are also pretty into conspiracy theories. You're pretty into like Cool shit. I don't know how else to explain it besides conspiracy theories, but what is something recently that has hit you that's blown your fucking mind that you would like to share with the people? And you could also, I'm sure I haven't heard of it. I haven't been digging too deep lately. So what you guys got, man? What are we doing?
So recently, I've experienced something myself. So John and I are like up in the Appalachia region, and a lot of weird shit goes on in the Appalachia region. So we have this place where we like to play basketball, and I was by myself, and I pulled up there, and I see about like 15 or 16 deer, and my windows are down, and I smell this horrible like sulfur scent, and it just reminded me of like this, the not. Have you ever heard of not a deer?
Not a deer?
Huh?
No, I haven't.
So it's like a deer that like people say has been like possessed or whatever, but it's like it acts like a deer and stuff, and then it like stalks you and tries to like hunt you and stuff.
Oh shit! So it's not like friendly. This is something that we should be afraid of as human beings. The non-deer.
I mean, it's like it's not like scary. It's like it's pretty scary, but like if you're walking through the woods at night and like you just hear stuff, like hear footsteps, hear like whispers and stuff sometimes, like it's just the Appalachia region. It's
pretty odd.
So we have. Go ahead.
There's a lot of what do you call like legends in the Appalachians of like I forget what they're called, but they're like mimics or something where they mimic people that you know or like their voices, so that way they call out to you and then you're like, oh, I need to go toward that voice. It's my mom or it's my this and that, and then they're never seen again.
Wow. Do people do a lot of psychedelics in the Appalachians?
I would assume so. I
mean, moonshine and people eat their fair bit of shrooms. I'd say.
I'm sure.
I was gonna say, man, that kind of sounds like more like pretty psychedelic to me. You know, hearing familiar voices being pulled somewhere. I do have Taylor in the comments section. She has some insight. She's saying possibly Bigfoot, possibly a skinwalker, a Wendigo. Do any of these things ring to you guys?
That's what I was talking about earlier. It's a skinwalker. Skinwalker is like kind of it mixes in with not deer.
Yeah, it's like skinwalkers originate from like a Native American story of like if you wear like a wolf skin, you're practicing in dark magic. So if you see like a pack of wolves and they start like walking around and stuff, that's a skinwalker.
Do people like fuck around, you know, and dress up all crazy and shit and walk around the woods and try to scare you, or is that dangerous possibly?
I don't know.
I mean, there is like a lot of animals and stuff out there. You definitely don't want to be out there by yourself.
Yeah, I can see there being some wild people out in the woods in Appalachia.
I mean, I've encountered my fair share of wild people and like
at gas stations and everything.
Is it? I'm not overly familiar. You know, is it a lot of small towns where you guys are at? Like towns of like a couple hundred people?
Yeah, my dad's family, they've been there for 7 generations, and it's a town of about 500 people, and they're like my grandpa is a 6th or 7th generation coal miner.
Wow. That's dope, dude. Anytime I go to Vegas, you know, so out here I'm in California, and when you're driving to Vegas, there's just probably a few hundred miles of nothingness, you know, except for a gas station. And every time I stop at one of these gas stations, I always got to ask the people, like, how many people even live here? How many of you guys are related? What do you do for fun? And I remember one time, what's up, Dan the Waterman, by the way? And then one time I stopped at this gas station. I asked the guy, hey, man, how many people live around here? And he's like, oh, maybe like 75 or some super low number like that. He told me that the majority of them are related, and I asked him, what do they do for fun? And he told me that there's a rock that kind of looks like a spaceship, and they just hang out, look at the rock, and drink beer. I thought, man, I wish I could live a life so simple where I could look forward to going to look at a rock. You know what I mean? And that's fucking dope. Does that ring kind of like accurate to where you got, so in the town of 500 people, I mean, you have all this wilderness and nature and fucking Bigfoot's roaming and shit, and you got mimicry going on. But what are some things that you guys do for fun that maybe you think that isn't as regular for other people that live in cities and things of that nature?
I guess when I was a younger teenager, bridge jumping.
Yeah. Or I mean, just like running through the woods and having a good time doing it. I mean, that's just pretty
Yeah,
much all.
hiking
That's pretty much
hiking
all I
on
did.
different places that have never been discovered. Like there's places that we'll find that it's just like insanely scenic or beautiful, like waterfall places up at White Park or
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. And you know, Dan the Waterman, who is a buddy of mine, he was in the Flat Earth video I did. Super cool dude. He's really, really concerned about, or not concerned, he's excited to see if you guys are into hip hop. Are you guys into hip hop? Does that? I've personally never heard of it, you know, but I would imagine it's like redneck hip hop.
yeah. So funnily enough, like I don't listen to hip hop. I didn't even know if it was like a real genre or not, but
It's real, bro. It's real out here.
Clay Drake wrote a diss rap on me, and that was back whenever I was doing raps with some of my buddies, and he basically said something about hip hop kid, and I was like, "What is that?" And I looked it up, and then I like got into a few songs. I was like, "All right, some of this kind of hard," but like most of the time we just listen to like classic rock or like Detroit. Like a lot of our friends like Detroit rap or Flint rap.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess if you're white and you're into hip hop, you either want to be Eminem or it sounds like hip hop. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of like the generalization. I know damn near every video I have on YouTube of me rapping, there's like, you sound just like Eminem. It's like, dude, I don't think I obviously, I mean, I think if you sing and someone says you sound just like Michael Jackson, you're not fucking offended by this. You know what I mean? But it's very much so like a generalization that it is what it is. There could be worse things to be called, I guess. So one thing that I know you were in the lives a while back, and you brought something up, and I kind of shut it down, dude. You know what I mean? I didn't talk about it too much, but I felt like it was something of you guys were interested in. It was the Mandela effect. You typed in a few times the Mandela effect, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't believe in it necessarily or think that it has any kind of weight to it, but I'd like to hear your insight on why you felt I should talk about the Mandela effect and what you feel the value in it is.
I think that I mean I'm not a huge advocate on the Mandela effect either, but I think that it's interesting to talk about, especially because I know that you a lot of people hated that you didn't like the Mandela effect, and like I think that you could be right. It could be a lot of people just thinking this or that, but I feel like in my lifetime, Fruit Loops is the number one that gets me, because I feel like I've seen it change a couple times.
I personally think the Mandela effect is like just mass hysteria, just like classic mass hysteria. I just feel like with the internet, it's accelerated a lot more. So when people see like something, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's to it."
Yeah,
Dude.
and
We just real quick, guys. I don't know if everyone out there experienced it, but my whole shit just went down. You know what I'm saying? Did your guys's? Were you seeing me the whole time? Did it feel like there was nothing?
I saw you for a split second.
I was gonna say, man, you might be onto something here, dude. They're trying to shut us down. You're onto something. So keep going, you know. And if it shuts down again, obviously we know that we're in deep waters right now with some truth. So Fruit Loops, obviously Fruit Loops. There's something deeper to Fruit Loops. So you've seen Fruit Loops change a couple of times. So just go ahead.
It could be obviously mass hysteria, like you're saying, but I feel like I've seen Fruit Loops be something else one time, and I was like, wait, I swear that changed, and I swear like a year before that it changed, and people were freaking out about it a year before that, and then I saw a TikTok on it like a week later where this guy was like, yeah, I wrote down in my notes, this date on the 2019 that Fruit Loops was spelled like this, and actually it's spelled like this now. And like if you look it up, it's like, yeah, they never changed their branding or their name or anything like that. And that's kind of odd to me, but it could just be that I've always thought that it should be spelled a certain way.
Yeah, I just don't understand.
Okay.
How would it be so common to like the point that like everyone's experiencing it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I feel you. So fruit is spelled with what, 2 O's? Is that the situation? And at one point it was spelled with a UI?
Yeah, I believe it was like it was at first OOU, then it was UI, and then or maybe it might be reversed. I don't even know how it's spelled right now. honestly.
that's also the point. It's like it's stuff people don't really remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right. It is always stuff that people could just mix up very easily all the time.
I mean, I've heard a couple of them that are like interesting enough, you know, out of watching like fucking 100 videos. I've seen a few things, but here's the deal, dude. This is where I'm at with the whole Fruit Loop situation. It wasn't just a dude who thought, hey, Fruit Loops sounds good, and then they put Fruit Loops out. There was a lot of thought behind Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
So I'm looking right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and share this. It is a Walmart, guys. This video is not sponsored by Walmart. I'd be in a way better fucking location if this video is sponsored by Walmart. But this video is sponsored by me. So shout out to me, and also by FellaToons, man. You guys are sponsoring the episode. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. So here's the deal, all right? I'm about to share this screen, and I'm not trying to just shit all over your fucking Fruit Loop idea here, but
No,
here's where I'm at with the Fruit Loop debauchery, okay? Let me see here. Where is the actual screen at? So can you guys see I can't actually see it. Can you guys see my mouse right here? Right there?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so these are the letters in question. Oh. My thing is, I believe that there's no reason why they wouldn't use the O's, because the O's are a crucial part in allowing the actual cereal to represent the letters. Because if you look, the Loops has the two cereals, and then the Fruit has the two cereals. I think that when they were creating Fruit Loops and they were talking about how to spell it, they probably liked the alliteration of the two O's, both in each word, and they thought this is a nice way to make these letters into our cereals. Is that fair, or do you think that's me being a little bit too hypercritical?
That makes the most sense, because as a someone who would do marketing and stuff like that, they would probably think that exact same way that you had just described.
And that's what I'm saying. And even Dan the Waterman, who is, I would say, you know, there's some wisdom there, right? Dan is an OG. He's saying, and it's not made with fruit. So I mean, take what you will from it, but there's also there's a weed brand as well out here in California that goes by Fruit. I wonder if they've ever been approached by Fruit Loops in a fucking lawsuit, because there's a lot of brands out here getting sued. So, but Taylor, I mean, we have a back and forth, guys. We have like a real debate going on here. Taylor is saying, but toucans do eat fruit. So, I mean, I think that could be a part of it. But my theory here is, just one more time, I think that the two O's in fruit were all a big decision and strategy to allow the cereal to be used as the O's. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Make your own conclusion, however you feel. But let's see here. Someone is saying is it real loud to you guys by chance? Is it loud to anybody?
Not to us.
Yeah, not to us.
Here, let's see here. Well, I turned it down a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be too low or too whatever. But so Dan the Waterman's actually saying he knows idiots that think toucans are fake. And did you guys hear about the whole birds aren't real conspiracy that was going on?
Birds on the power cords.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I remember a while back that was actually a conspiracy that was brought to my attention as something that maybe I should look into. And the whole time, to me, it just kind of felt weird. You know, I only saw like one video or one clip of it, but there's a very interesting Vice piece that came out maybe 3 months ago, 2 weeks, 4 days, and like 8 hours ago that was all about that conspiracy. And it was about how it was fake and how the whole idea behind it was just like a social experiment. And everybody that went to the rallies, the birds aren't real rallies, all just had the opportunity to play a character of someone who believed this. And it was all for like media hype. It's very interesting. I mean, I can't by any means sound as interesting as actually watching the piece. But I thought that was pretty funny that it was all just a ruse, you know, to get people. And it was to highlight the idea of like, you know, how fucking people look crazy as fuck when they have these gnarly ideas. But at the end of the day, guys, I don't know. Birds might be fake. Birds could be fake. You know what I mean?
Very convincing.
It was also very funny because I saw TikTok with the leader of that whole campaign, and he was like, "We're suing every local media news source or whatever for slander against us, calling us a fake company, and then the very next TikTok on his page was like, "I'm sorry for the stuff I said. We are not suing these companies. We retract all of our statements." He had like a lawyer beside him.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. You can't be fucking around like that with birds. So I got Honey and Brown, the Nerd Realm. Man, that's a name right there, dude. And I actually believe Honey and Brown, the Nerd Realm. I saw a thing earlier about how you do like reaction videos. So that's dope. It sounds like you're gonna do a reaction video. And then there's a couple questions though. So guys, let's see if we could do anything for these questions. How do we explain that thousands upon thousands of people thought Nelson Mandela died in the 80s then? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to pull up too much shit, but I think there was a news article or something that came up that said he had died at one point and it was retracted and it was a mistake. But here's the thing. You're saying, why do thousands and thousands of people? 1,000 people doesn't even make up like a fraction of a percent of the population. And I would say that there's hundreds of thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people that just kind of believe whatever you tell them, you know? And I think this is just a big game of telephone. And at the end of the day, is Nelson Mandela that important to I mean, he is, but if you thought he was dead, he couldn't be that much of a cultural icon or something like that to you. So, I mean, I didn't know much about Nelson Mandela until the Mandela Effect came out. So as far as a bunch of people thinking that he died in the 80s, I mean, I don't know. I think that's just people getting false information and running with it. Do you guys think there's any weight to people thinking Mandela died in the 80s and then he didn't?
No, because if something was sent out that said he had died, and then they like retracted it, then of course people are going to think that he died, like, and a lot of people are going to be speaking on it and stuff. Same thing with like, there's this theory that Paul McCartney died in the 60s, and the real Paul McCartney is dead, but the Paul McCartney that's here now is just like a fake or whatever. And
I think that could be true, dude. Have you seen the documentary Paul McCartney is the walrus or the walrus is him or something like that?
No, but my grandma believes in that theory heavily, and she's talked to me about he's got different, like, his height is different and stuff like that. But they did release something that said Paul McCartney was dead from a car crash, and then they, like, took it out of the newspaper.
Well, I mean, people are so fast to want to get news out there first, you know, because they want to be the ultimate source and they want everyone to buy their magazines or click on their shit. I'm sure if he got into a car accident, people already had the wings. A matter of fact, I believe that, like, for any celebrity, most major newspaper articles already have, like, a memoriam and, like, a death announcement for them or something like that, I believe.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that before somewhere.
Yeah, I think I like.
Or is it a Mandela effect, dude? Is that not? I'm just kidding. So another thing, and I'll be honest. You know, I'm always trying to be honest, but I'm extra going to be honest right now. Honey and Brown - the Nerd Realm are saying that the Berenstain Bears always trips me out as well in terms of the Mandela effect. I will say that is the first thing I actually ever heard. My brother was telling me about this thing called the Mandela effect, and that when we were younger, we had a couple of these books, and we called it Berenstain Bears. The Bernstein Bears. And I kind of chalked it up to, it's named after a family. There's a family that actually has the last name, like real human beings, not fucking bears. Whoever wrote this book, they have like either relatives or their actual last name is Berenstain. And so it tripped me out for a couple seconds because I was saying it differently. But then when I did a little bit of research, it just seemed as though this is how we said it in my house because we heard somebody say it like that. It really wasn't that important because, and I chalked it up to that. Did you guys ever see the Berenstain Bears one and kind of have your mind blown for a short period of time?
Yeah, that was the one that freaked me out first. Like, when I very first heard about the Mandela Effect, I think I might have heard about the Mandela Effect through Shane Dawson's Mandela Effect video, and he talked about the Berenstain Bears one first, and I was like, wait, it's not Berenstain Bears? Because I remember as a kid calling it that. And I think I remember a lot of kids calling it Berenstain Bears. So it could just be like a lot of kids called it Berenstain Bears.
I agree 100%. Let's see if there's any other ones. This person is asking, you know, there's certain topics that I wanted to say, fuck it, you know, talk about anything these days. But these people are asking about Pizzagate. And I'm not going to get too into detail about exactly what Pizzagate is or what it isn't, but it goes into the idea that there's a lot of shady shit going on with our government and people, politicians, and I don't disbelieve anything like that. I feel like all of that shit could be extremely valid, but that's all. I just didn't want to ignore your comment. You know what I mean, Olivia? Because you're fam, and I don't want to ignore you like that. That's not cool. Dan the dinosaur, Dan the water. He's saying dinosaurs are fake, and they make his vaginasaur, which right on, Dan. I dig it. So, do you guys believe dinosaurs are fake? Do you guys think that dinosaurs actually existed at one point in time?
I don't really have an opinion or a
I think
theory on this at
dinosaurs.
all.
I think dinosaurs existed.
I do too. I think the only conspiracy within the whole dinosaur realm is I do believe that human beings were around when dinosaurs were around. So I don't know about the whole 65 million years and all that shit and how long they were gone, but and I got a video on the channel where I go over it talking about how there's cave drawings of dinosaurs. At the end of the day, how the hell could cave people, unless they were a lot smarter than we're giving them credit for and a lot more developed, but how would they be able to draw something that they hadn't seen? Because everything else in cave walls is things that are visible to them, right? It's not like they were drawing some abstract crazy shit. However, I will also chalk it up to the fact that maybe cavemen had access or they ate a lot of mushrooms or something like that, and they were opened up to the ultimate dimension of collective consciousness, and they were able to tap in and actually see things that weren't there in the physical realm. So either cavemen were heavily psychedelic out and tripping balls all the time, or I think dinosaurs were right there with them. So let's see, a theory that trips me out, the simulation theory. So the simulation theory, I mean, there's so many rabbit holes to go down the simulation theory. I don't know if I necessarily want to get into that too much. We can if you guys would like, but let's see. I just want to see if there's anything else regarding the Mandela effect. Not really. There's really not a whole lot of Mandela effect. So I know when we were texting at one point, man, you brought up like a molecule or something of that nature to me, and I could go through the text, but why don't you bring that up, because that was pretty interesting.
Sam Nine knows more about it than I do, but the Higgs boson particle is basically called the God particle,
Yeah, the
or
God particle.
the goddamn particle. Some people call it that.
I was explained to it by this like physics undergrad I know named Leo, and he was saying that they were trying to discover the Higgs boson particle, and they were trying to define its atomic weight, and their atomic weight like had the keys to the universe or something, and it was said like if the atomic weight was a certain weight, it would be like the universe was created by like a god or like a higher power. If it's another weight, it would be created by like the multiverse. It would be like a multiversal theory. And they like weighted it, and they like found the weight, and it was like neither of those, so it was just like complete loss. And I just thought it
Was it? So it was only a complete loss because no human was right.
Yeah, and so that's exactly what I was thinking. So you ever heard of the split particle theory, where they like shot particles through the splits and they observed it and they didn't observe it?
Is that also string theory?
I think what they call that, like splitting the atom, or like did they split an atom, or that's like an atom bomb, right? When they split the atom within the bomb.
No, this is just like they just shot particles out, and they observed the particles, and they didn't observe the particles. And when they observed the particles behaved like sound waves, and they created like these U's over each other. And when they weren't being observed, they acted like particles. And so what they tried is they tried to have a little counter, like a little robotic counter, counting the particles to observe them and just not be in the room and not look at it. And still they acted like sound waves instead of particles. So I was thinking that if a human observed the Higgs boson particle, then maybe it behaved differently.
I have a question. How did they know what it looked like when they weren't observing it?
That's what I was just thinking too.
They hit it against like some sort of like material that like stained it, and like so you see the pattern of the actual atoms.
So you could see like the aftermath.
Yeah,
I
you see like
guess.
the aftermath.
Okay, so it's almost they treated the atom like it knows if anything is around, so they put it in a room and they had no cameras on it, nothing like that was monitoring it. I mean, nothing of that nature. It was just a matter of looking at stains that were left afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. To like determine how it was before, I guess. But the there's a theory. What's it called? The cat theory. that is supposed to explain string theory a lot better.
Schrodinger's box.
Yeah, Schrodinger's box.
I don't understand that.
I don't.
Okay. It looks as though you guys froze. At least on my screen, you guys froze. I don't know if it's frozen everywhere. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off the screen right now. Boom. And I'm going to show it on the screen again, and I'm going to see if we come back and we're better. It could be something as though a phone is broken. Are you guys back? Are you guys live? I can't hear you, though, now. So I don't know if it's something with your audio or what's going on here. But you guys are just getting into some very confusing shit, man. We can't just leave it on that note. I can hear you now.
Yeah?
You're good. You're good. So you were saying something about Schindler's box that you don't understand. It's very confusing. I guess going back, let's go back to the atom thing, though, right? Let's just not dance right over that. Let's spend some time with it. So an atom, when observed, reacts differently than when it isn't observed. That's the whole hypothesis behind this, right?
Pretty much anything, any particle or any wave.
particle.
So it's kind of, if a tree falls and no one's around, does it make a noise?
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
pretty much.
Yep, pretty much, yes.
Right? So and by the way, trees, now I'm dancing right over the atom thing. But trees are very interesting. I actually met a gentleman at I don't remember, a party. Let's say it was like a P. Diddy party. Let's make it as interesting as possible. It was at a P. Diddy New Year's Eve party. I was hanging out with Jay-Z and Beyonce, and this random guy walked up to me, and we started communicating, as humans do at parties. And I asked him what he did, and he said that he is like a tree scientist, or he observes the behaviors of trees or something of that nature. But he said that the root systems of trees actually communicate with each other, and a tree like 1,000 miles away from another tree through root systems actually are able to converse in their own way, and they're able to pass and transfer information to each other. That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Same with mushrooms.
Yeah, that reminds me a lot of fungi.
Same with mushrooms.
Yes, the mycelium in mushrooms. So the precursor to the mushroom that we know is kind of like the sexual organ of the mycelium. But mycelium, which is pretty much like a white webby. I'm trying to explain it for people that don't know what it is necessarily, but it's what's underground. So it's basically what's underground and what pushes the mushrooms up through the earth. And if you've ever grown them yourself, the first step of growing mushrooms is colonizing a substrate block until the mycelium has completely covered it. But they'll actually use mycelium to put underground. If they're looking to like map out the best route for a tunnel to get from point A to point B, they'll actually put mycelium at point A and at point B and allow it to connect itself, and that's the route that they'll use because the mycelium is smarter than people. And if you touch a piece of mycelium that's connected to 1,000 other miles of mycelium, you can actually sense the reaction all the way 1,000 miles away. So it's very interesting. Trees, mycelium, all those things. And everything is pretty much made of atoms, right? Everything is constructed of atoms.
Yeah.
So is the particles that they're shooting at each other, would we say that these are the ultimate atoms, the like purest forms of atoms? Or what's the diagnosis that we're given here?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. What is
Like-
real? What is the real state of real?
Because I'm almost thinking like the atom is fucking with them, The atom knows, like I don't know if we're smarter than the things that we're made of,
Yeah, and like it's taunting us. Like it knows that we want to observe it.
Wow. Someone just said, they say the smell of grass being mowed is warning the other grass. Oh, I think that was just silly. But maybe that's real. Is that real?
I'm pretty sure that's real. I've heard that before. It's like a warning smell to send off to the rest of them to be like, hey, get ready. There's this like something's coming.
There it is, dude. So, so someone just said bye and said something funny about it. We don't got to get into it. So, damn, it threw me off, though. Whatever they just said threw me off. What is the last thing that you said? What was the last thing that I said? Do you remember?
Like how we know that the atoms are taunting us.
Oh, so the atoms are just fucking with us. And I think that sometimes our egos get in the way of us really understanding things. Because if we could just say, atoms are more advanced than human beings and we can't understand them instead of trying to understand them, I think that'd be a little bit cooler, But hey, we got to figure everything out. That's what humans do. Oh, the grass is where we were at, though. We're talking about grass. I have seen experiments about, like when you cut into a vegetable, they read it with these, like, the things that you would put on your head that, like, when you're almost getting a lie detector test or something like that, it measures all the waves in your brain and all that. But they'll put something similar, like, on a piece of lettuce when it's on the vine, and when they cut it, they can actually sense pain in the lettuce. And I've heard that as an argument for people that say you shouldn't eat meat because you hurt the animal, and they're saying that vegetables get hurt too, and we should think about vegetables' feelings. Do you guys think that there's something to that? I mean, what should we eat, guys? What the fuck are we supposed to eat?
Like, I think that's pretty crazy that they probably can feel that, but
personally, I eat meat and veggies.
Me too.
I pretty much everything. I would probably eat anything. Honestly.
I'm with you. I think. The only thing I have cut out of my diet in recent history is diet soda. I was drinking like as much diet soda as my fucking body could handle. It's not like I was drinking a can a day. I was just, anytime I was thirsty, diet soda seemed like the best idea. And then I went over to, it was actually when I filmed something with my brother, and my brother was like super on the diet soda tip, drinking like fucking a madman. And he said that after he quit, his whole attitude and his whole vibe changed up, and he had a hard time even feeling like getting anywhere near depressed, you know what I mean? And it was just so uplifting to him. And then upon researching it, and it's actually a video that I want to do at some point, is aspartame is linked to a lot of shit. Like if you have any kind of a depressive disorder and you have a lot of aspartame intake, it will make you want to kill yourself, or it could induce suicidal thoughts. It's obviously very fucking bad for your brain. It puts holes in your brain. It's not good for your health in general, for your gut health. Are you guys on Diet Coke and Diet Soda? With all that being said, you guys fuck with it or not?
I haven't drinking a soda since March 18th.
I drink soda.
Damn, so you have like a day that you stopped drinking it. Why is that, man? Why is it so significant?
It was just my diet. It's 75 days out from June 1st. Now it'd be nice and shredded by June 1st.
Fuck yeah, bro. I mean, is it like, are you going to run around the Appalachians with your shirt off or something, bro? Or like, what's the plan?
Yeah, run the mountains every day.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Deer.
Dress up like fucking a mimicker and scare the fuck out of people, but when they see them, like, who cares, dude? He's shredded, you know. Like if he was out of shape, I'd be scared right now. But he's shredded. This is fun. So on another note, man, probably gonna call it in a second here. But is there any last topics? Is there any other thing that you deem is important for people to hear right now?
We've got a new episode coming out soon, like hopefully within the next week. And then after that, we hope to release new short segments every like 2 weeks, because we want to start hopping on getting more stuff out there. And we have a lot of ideas to implement. We just need to get the animation stuff a lot faster.
I just like to say it's been real nice meeting you. It's been a pleasure being on this podcast.
Yeah, dude. Of course.
Yeah, it's always going to be a pleasure to talk to you about everything, information with conspiracies. And if you're still down for that ad thing, I've been working on like a picture of what I want the plant itself to look like, for like otherworldly almost.
Dope, dude. Yeah, just to give you guys a little bit of insight. So the fellas, when I first initially spoke with John, he told me that they were doing something for a brand that I'm very familiar with in the same space as what I do. And the company that I'm a part of right now, Clone Guy Industries, we sell plants. If you're in California and you don't grow weed, you should, because it's legal and you're able to at this point in life. But I would really like to see what they would do as far as like a cool little cartoon for Clone Guy, man. So that's kind of what you were talking about there. But no, I'm stoked to see that, dude. I'm stoked to have you guys have some excitement towards the project. I appreciate you guys coming on. Make sure you check out the channel. Fuck, man. What is the name? I don't want to mess it up. That's all. What is
FellaToons.
Because I think okay. See, man, the Fruit Loop. It's the whole Fruit Loop thing all over again. You know what I mean? But hey, check out FellaToons, everybody. I did link it in the description a little bit earlier or in the chats. Thank you guys again for hanging out. Hey, man, but think, when you guys have some more crazy shit come to mind, dude. Any more particles or Appalachian fucking mountains stories? Definitely hit me up, and we'll get you guys on another live. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
All right.
that'd be a lot of fun.
Right on. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your night. And yeah, dude, everybody make sure to check them out. Go do your thing. And then Supreme Steven came in late. It's okay though, dude. But yeah, let's do this again soon, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Don't get fucking lost in the mountains. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man.
We'll
Have a
try.
good one.
Oh yeah. Have a good one, guys. So that was the FellaToons. And Dan, if you're still in here, man, if you're interested, I'd love to get you to hop on here for a minute. And anybody else, one thing that I do want to do in these lives, because I'm probably going to run this for about an hour and 10 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes, something in that ballpark. But if anyone here has some cool stories or anything to share, or you're not shy and you want to hop on a live, definitely. Livia, you could always join next time. I want to do something where we do like 5-minute things. 5-minute lives. You ask me a question, I give you an answer. And on that note, let me go ahead and get back to people on Instagram, what they were asking, because that's important. I don't want to ask a question and then not answer it. So I think Dan the Waterman is going to join us here for a minute. He's always a very interesting character to have conversations with in a great way. Kind of like myself, I think. So, Dan, what are we doing here? I need to copy this. I'm thinking too much. But yeah, let me hop this on. Boom, boom. I actually, when Dan gets on here, we can talk about it. But yes, back to what I was saying. What do I think about clones? Taylor, are you talking about clones as in plants or clones as in like a duplicate human being? Because there's a company, I think it's Lucerne or something of that nature. I could be completely off. Or no, it's like, it's fucking weird. But they took pig DNA and were able to like grow a pig leg. They're actually able to grow part of a pig. Just with DNA strands and all that. Duplicate humans. See, when we talk about stuff like that, I guess I start to go into other arenas as is thinking about duplicating humans just a fun thing for humans to think about? Is it even possible because of the reality that we live in? Does base reality even allow the means to clone ourselves? Is that just all illusion? And that sounds really crazy, I know. But anytime I think about clones or anything science related like that, I'm always, I don't really have a whole lot I'm able to say about it. But you're saying like public leaders. I think public leaders, I don't know about clones, but I think that the technology to make people look different and maybe make somebody look like an impersonator is a lot more likely than clones. But this is what I'm going to do, guys. He ain't able to be here for too long. Dan is a busy man, but I'm going to get Dan the Waterman on here, and we're going to have some fun here. What's going on, Dan?
Hey.
How have you been, dude?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, bro. Yeah, just so you guys know, so Dan the Waterman is, he was in the Flat Earth video that I did that's on the channel, maybe 2 or 3 years ago at this point. He was, if you guys have seen it, he was the one in the lab coat, the most legit looking dude in the party for sure. And when I started this, when I revamped the channel, he was actually the first person that I asked to hop on a live and do a podcast with me. However, I didn't actually put it up, and the video is only like active for 15 days. And then we did another one with Mark Sargent and I can't think of his name right now. Is it Virgil? What's the other gentleman's name? I can't.
Angel.
Angel. Also super interesting dude. But it had like some audio and stuff and whatever. It doesn't even matter.
No, that was a mess.
It doesn't even matter.
So you lost the one that we did? That one just faded away?
Dude, I did. It was like 3.5 hours, and I was kind of editing it and going through it, but it only is active on the app for like so many days or something like that. And then at the end, and also I can only have so many things saved on the app. So it's either a day limit or it's how many things have I like recorded and saved. So I was trying to do intros and stuff like that, and I think I just out bandwidth the whole fucking thing.
Well,
But
go ahead.
oh no, go ahead, man.
One of the things we talked about then during the Mandela effect was one of the theories I had on how it could mechanically change. How could something mechanically change and why? In other words, let's say there's a how, we'd still need a why. For instance, Looney Tunes was something, from the Bugs Bunny cartoons. And that was another one of these double O's because of cartoon, Toontown, Tiny Toons, Looney Tunes. Well, today it's spelled like iTunes. And they say it's never changed. And
I remember that. I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So my contention is that in translation, just like we're used to translations being both like verbal or written, I think we're in some sort of rendering where we're translating via frequency and even co-creating and rendering as we go. So I think that whoever is translating the realm you and I are sharing at this time went to check on the phonetics of tunes because it was a verbal translation. And when they looked, TOONS was not a word because that's a contraction. So it's my theory that who's ever translated this world into what we think is physical, the manifestation we think is physical, didn't know, wouldn't have the double O reference, wouldn't be there. They wouldn't get it, that it's like cartoons. It's not funny to them because it's mechanical in nature or foreign in nature. And the same thing with the sword and the stone. For the sword to be in an anvil today, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But I couldn't stop there. I had to find out why. So I looked it up, and an anvil used to be made of stone. So whoever translated that today, which is depicted with a big metal anvil, just like cartoons, who has ever changed the translation didn't know we were out of the Stone Age. They had no idea we were out of the Stone Age. So I'm just looking for a reason how something could get left behind in translation. Just like that post office game or something, where stuff gets just literally left behind in translation.
So I'm just doing a little bit of research here, and I'm with you. I think the whole tunes, Looney Tunes, cartoons, it would make a lot of sense to have it be TOONS. And my only thought is it would have been called Looney Tunes because it was based around jingles and songs and short videos that had songs behind them. It says here, why did they change Looney Tunes to Looney Tunes? And it says it was originally a series called Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes.
Correct.
So that's my only thought. It's possible.
All right, let me throw you for this. Go to
Do
Google,
it, please.
Go to Google Images.
Okay.
Look at the back of the DVD of the film Space Jam.
Okay, so
And their credits spell it as I recall it. So it's weird because you start talking about residual stuff, and that makes even less sense than the change. If it changed, it should have changed. There shouldn't be any residue. There shouldn't be residue at all. So it's weird when you come up with residue, it fucks it all up again.
do you think though that because I'm trying to look at it right here. So you're saying on the back, oh, this is like the new Space Jam. We're looking at the older Space Jam, right?
Yeah, and look for the biggest image, and you'll see the back corner. It says TOONS, just like we recall. So there may be a moment of transition. I hate to throw this in the loop, but you'll probably appreciate it. That's what's kind of fun about you. 2012 could be a moment in time where things got changed. Things changed over, and they were subtle. Things like that, subtle things like this.
So what is 2012? What is the significance?
The end of the Mayan calendar was December 21st, I think, 2012. And it's unusual that a calendar might just end that went that far into the future. I mean, they didn't just get lazy. They marked it as sort of like an end of times, although that's also a misnomer because it's also a change of the age, like the age of Aquarius on the, like the based on the Earth wobble. So a change in the age, a change in times, it doesn't mean the end of times. A change in times doesn't mean the end of times.
Change is inevitable, right? It's the only thing inevitable. And one thing that I saw recently, I hadn't watched the documentary in a really long time, but have you seen Zeitgeist?
Yeah, I just rewatched it and I got hassled for reposting it.
Dude.
That and Loose Change, right?
Yeah,
Change.
Loose Change is about 9/11, and Zeitgeist goes over, at least the one that I'm referring to. I think there's like 2 or 3 of them. The one that I watched really goes into 9/11, it goes into religion, and then I believe currency. I don't know if I watched kind of like a mashup of a few of them, but they talk about the Bible, and they talk about all the parallels between the story of Jesus and the story of things like Zeus, or I don't want to like
sun,
quote.
Right? It's not the Son of God; it's the sun. It's astrological record that they've confused in storytelling.
Yeah,
right? It's like the son dying on the cross is an astrological record. It's not about Jesus. They're fucking lame.
And then I heard, I forgot who it was, but they talk about how if you take the Bible to a literal degree, it's going to irritate you and make you a non-believer. But if you look at it in a mythical way, and it's telling stories translated into ways where we can understand, then it's almost like if you try to make something very, very, very specific, it can't relate to everything all the time. But if you make it a little bit more vague and you use more mythical type things, it's more relative to everybody, and it could be related to, and so forth and so on. However, one thing that was in the Zeitgeist documentary that I thought was interesting is, for the past 2,000 years, we've been in it's before the age of Aquarius. I think it's 2000 or 0 to like 2400, the year 2400. We're going to be in the age, and it's represented by a fish. Do you know what it's called by chance? Like what age we're in right now?
I never paid attention. I know we've been moving into the age of Aquarius for a long time.
Yeah, so the age of Aquarius starts in 2400. And every 2,400 years, we change. Okay, so it's Pisces. Good looking out, D's enlightened it. You're the fucking MVP of the moment. So the age of Pisces, and it's represented by a fish, and that's why in the Bible, he was, the story of the fisherman, and even like Christians or Catholics, I forget which one, but their main symbol is a fish. You know what I mean? And we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and one thing about the age of Aquarius that I've always heard is that's the moment of like true enlightenment, where human beings will enter the 5th level of consciousness, and it'll be a whole nother existence on the planet. Have you ever heard of the levels of consciousness and things of that nature in the age of Aquarius?
I know when it comes to measuring levels of stuff, I'm usually way down there.
What,
so, no.
Like your testicles?
Yeah, like chakra levels. I usually get measured down at the bottom.
No, I did a video on it, but basically it talks about how there's different levels of consciousness, and the lower, like the consciousness level that most human beings occupy right now is very easy to manipulate. And I was doing a lot of research on the lizard people theory, the reptilians. Is that something that you're into? I'm trying to find something we could converse on for a minute here.
You won't get me. I mean, I could give you a list of stuff I don't buy, and then it's sort of interesting to try and see why people don't buy something. One thing I really don't like is something I call conspiratards, where everything is a conspiracy. So I'm really quick to jump on stuff that I don't feel has any foundation.
So do you know anybody that's diehard for lizard people, and they've really tried to like get you on board with it?
Kind of, yeah.
What was the
I
most?
know somebody who's into it, but I know he's into it more than he's pushed me on it.
So what was the most compelling thing they thought they had to share with you? And regardless of how you took it, what was their like fucking leg that they were standing on in regards to their really being lizard people?
I never heard one, really. I never heard one. I mean, Condoleezza Rice is the only thing. If you're trying to talk me into it, Condoleezza Rice.
So if she's one, they're all in. I don't know. See, so I'm working on this video, and it'll be up sometime. I'm actually going to try to film it after I do this. But I'm with you, dude. I'm not into the whole lizard people thing. I never fucking gave it much thought. But because so many people want to hear about it, you know, I'm here to service the people as well if I'm able to, and it's interesting to them. And I like to try to connect dots. And if I can connect dots, because I think all these conspiracies out there, if we're able to connect the dots and where they might share some ground, we're able to make a better vision of reality. So
I can help you out in the realm that you like to talk. If they lived here, just like reptilian people or aliens, or let's say you went to another world like Mars, or let's say you were secretly in charge, no matter what, the key common word there, underground. There's too much weather. Obviously, the mammals had to go back to the sea at some point because it was either boiling or freezing, and there was there was temperature, that they could survive there. So when you think about anyone that habitated anywhere, you got to be pretty ballsy to build above ground to begin with.
And that's actually, so I was doing some research and I was trying to figure out how do I connect some dots. And the origin, the furthest back I could find any kind of publication that referenced lizard people was a gentleman named George Shufelt in 1933. And I tried to record this video so fucking many times reading it that I probably got it memorized by now. So, but I think it was 1933. He created a radio X-ray machine, and it was used to find underground anomalies. Think about a fucking, what's it called? A metal detector, only much more advanced. He was surveying the hills in Los Angeles and found what he thought were underground networks of tunnels that had living areas as well as humongous deposits of gold, about 16 in all, large deposits of gold, tons and tons of gold. And he wanted to learn more about this, so he was taken to Arizona, where there was a very educated Hopi chief that went by Chief Little Greenleaf, who told him that there's stories going around in their tribe, for years and years and years, hundreds of years, that at one point there was a reptilian race that inhabited and controlled the population at large, who controlled the planet. Unfortunately, about 5,000 years ago, there was a great catastrophe. A meteor shower happened, so it forced the lizard people to go west, where they built these underground networks of tunnels, enough to house about 1,000 families. And it's the lizard people that inhabited it, but they've since shapeshifted, taken on different forms, and now are completely infiltrating human beings in general. So that's where kind of David Icke, I believe, comes into play. And he talks about how the lizard race are reptilian shapeshifters and how they always are lizards. It's just vibrations that they put out around themselves that make us look at them as though they're humans. But to go back, you said above ground. So I think it's interesting that you say that, and the first bit of information I found is the only way that these lizard people are real, or the first publication was about these underground tunnels. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, yeah. Have you ever seen the, like if you go to Google Earth or Google Maps or whatever and look at that weird shelf off the coast here?
It's a weird shelf?
Gigantic shelf that supposedly is either submarine tunnels or UFO hangars. And you can see it plain as day off Malibu or whatever. I mean, you can see it plain as day. Go look right now and you'll be blown away.
It kind of, here, what would I Google, man? Malibu,
Los
cliff.
Angeles, just go to maps, and go to Los Angeles and look right off the coast where you would go if you went to the beach. And maybe a little north, I think it's within Point Doom. I don't think it's up by Santa Barbara. It's right here.
Okay,
right here. Step right up. Check out your world. We're talking conspiracies here.
So let me see here. So I googled did fucking. Let's see here.
Or just go to
is this what you're talking about?
Can you put it on the screen?
Yeah, I can do something like that, dude.
And
let's see here. I got so many fucking tabs.
Yeah, that's it. That big, right in the middle of the one on the top right that they're calling UFO base.
Right here, right?
Yeah, zoom in on that though. Like go to just Google Maps or whatever, and zoom in on that bad boy. It's unusual like crazy.
Okay, dude. That is kind of weird, man. That is kind of weird.
It looks just like a parking garage, man.
That's and you know, so as I was researching these lizard people, because whether or not I believe it or not, it's about how I'm able to present it, you know, and that's why if you can connect some dots and it makes it
All right.
it
Well,
makes it
have you
feel
seen
funner.
a map of the supposed tunnel system? Have you typed that in?
So yeah, so that's where it got really interesting because according to this George Sheffield character, the tunnel network actually resembled that of a lizard. You know, like it looked like a lizard. So let me see if I can actually find it. George Sheffield map. But in the but so kind of the dots that I was starting to connect is, let's just say there is a lizard race of people. I think we can all agree that there's some other kind of I don't know if it's a race of people or whatever, the Illuminati, but there's definitely a higher orchestrated group that is controlling the planet to a degree. Would you agree with this?
I would, especially if we're going to stay on the term underground, because there's quite a bit of they've really perfected what they call TBMs, tunnel boring machines. They're awesome. They really move quickly. And now that you got maglev and tunnel boring machines, they can move about. Anyone can move about underneath. Going back to your lizard race people, supposedly, I don't think it's Area 51 or 52 or 54, but supposedly on the back hills of that, there's people that have met your lizard people on top of the hill. Like just on patrol. And it was described as being the young ones, like kids that were out playing, not the adults. You know, like sneaking out, kind of.
Okay, that sounds
And so
interesting.
it wasn't confrontational because it was the young ones that were inquisitive and not honoring the fear or the respect or the, you know. So those stories are tough, just like Jump Room to Mars. It's a good story, but it's like, and they're tough. In other words, people that learn to tell stories just start telling stories. I didn't see that map. I'm sorry. Can you put it back?
Oh yeah, dude, of course. Boom, here it is.
I don't think that's the one I was talking about. The one I'm talking about goes goes to Vegas for sure with underground submarine stuff all the way to Vegas. Yeah, this is different.
Okay.
This is the LA one, right? This is the under LA version.
Yeah, so the underground catacombs of LA's lizard people. So this was pretty much it right here. And you can see the deposits of gold. You can see the living quarters, all these tunnels. Evidently, there's about 285 tunnels, and there was 3 of these lost cities. And George Shufelt, here's where it gets into like people being smart and just being scam artists, though. You know what I mean? So what he did with this map, and then he corroborated the information with this Hopi Native American chief. He got investors to go in with him, or pretty much fund him drilling for all of this gold, while his ulterior motive was to figure out these tunnel systems and see if he could find any lizard people. So they drilled this site for about 20 years or so. And I don't know if it's very readable here. This is pretty much exactly what I was just saying. All of it, not verbatim, but pretty close. And so after like 20 years or so of drilling, in 1957, they had to stop. The money dried up. Newspaper stories vanished. And that was it, you know, and George Shufelt died. And nothing was ever discovered. No gold was ever found. So it could be a great story for this guy to be able to drill for gold. Or, I mean, you know, but so when I was trying to connect dots, though, just to make the story interesting, I kind of equated it to the whole Anunnaki theory of a race greater than humans, of higher intelligence, that had something to do with creating humans as we know it, or human engineering. And then I kind of looped that into the Bible. Have you heard of the Nephilim in the Bible?
Yeah, definitely. There's that's, I believe, the descendants of the original people that made us into hybrids, like bred with whatever was here.
So that's pretty much, so the Nephilims are the sons of God, and at one point the sons of God, which were more spirit than flesh, started marrying the daughters of men, which were of flesh.
That's
and,
it. Let's just blame chicks, right?
And this
blame
and this
chicks.
really
Blaming
and this
chicks.
they were too good looking, you know. Human women were too good looking.
Get a
And-
burqa or just don't come out. Just
and-
bag that up. You're a distraction. I'm busy. I'm working.
So God, that's when God had the flood happen. He was like, I can't have this. I got to start all over again. And Noah, why don't you just go ahead and build this ark to save humanity for me? But it's interesting because that's the same story as the Anunnakis, where the Anunnakis had to engineer human beings from chimpanzees in their own DNA. And once the Anunnaki found the Homo sapiens, which we are, attractive and started breeding with them, the Anunnaki realized this is some dangerous shit. We got to end it right now. So there is parallels there. And like I was saying, if we're trying to connect dots to make something reality, if the Bible is a book to try to help us understand, even when they say God created the earth in 7 days, there was no such thing as days when God created the earth, if that's the case. They're just using terms that make sense to human beings so we can relate it, right? Maybe it's all telling us a story in its own terms, and the ultimate story is the lizard people, man. Maybe it's all lizard people, dude.
I don't know. I mean, maybe the lizard people evolved.
I mean, maybe just the idea of evolving is something the humans think about. You know, maybe they're already in their final form, and it's just funny to them to hear humans talk about evolution. Do you believe in evolution?
Not even close.
Not today, or what?
Not even close. I mean, there's adaptation, but there isn't. You know, species don't come out of other species. Even with mutation, there would be no reason genetically for it to begin to breed that way. Now, granted, what I believe, if you would crack an egg and look at an embryo or look at a young chicken, you know, like this sort of 2 wings, 2 feet, 2 hands, 2 legs, and a spine is pretty generic at first. And obviously the DNA assignments make assignments like your finger length and your skin color. And I think there may be a common ground, kind of like the black goo of things, you know. There's a can I send you a link? Is there a back chat here? Send you a link. There's
you could probably just shoot it onto the chat, dude. Share it with everybody.
Okay, there's a guy named Neil Freer, and he wrote a book called The Gods Wear Designer, and he talks about, I believe, what we're calling the Anunnaki.
Well, the Bible also, the Bible talks about, it's like I got it all on my iPad, but it's like the Anakins. And then you think Anakin Sky, I mean, it gets deep, dude. Is George Lucas a lizard? You know, that's where my mind goes. But so let's see here. Neil Freer. Okay, so I thought you were going to shoot a link. So Neil Freer. Let's see here.
I did put a link, but it didn't. I probably didn't come through because I'm not wrenched up.
It's all good, dude. So Neil Freer, and then what is the deal with Neil Freer? What's important about this guy?
It says here he's a futurist, a lecturer, and an author. And what back in the days when I used to record the radio on cassette tape, I made a tape called The Gods Wear Designer. And he talked about I think it was a planet getting trapped in our orbit, in our sun's orbit, and them mining the gold for shielding so they could somehow break free of the orbit, and they needed labor, and they bred us for labor with themselves. So it wasn't just out of lust.
So that's pretty.
Wasn't out of lust.
How about this? Man, I'm about to piss myself, dude. I'm gonna keep it real with everybody here. Dan, why don't you do this? Why don't you talk for like 1 minute about something fucking gnarly, dude? You're more than able to do that. You're the dopest person I know to talk to.
Right,
give me like 1 minute, and I'll be right back.
Thanks. All right. Well, the way Jared met me was as a flat earther, so I don't need to give a huge flat earth pitch here. I just want to sort of get the laughter out. Everyone that laughs at flat earth, it's pretty funny for them. They've never checked it out. It's been harder and harder. We've been censored. Just want to remind everyone it's not a belief. A belief system's pretty lame. As a matter of fact, I just made up something. What I said, if you believe in a theory, it may never become a fact, and it won't have to. If you stay in the realm of belief, that's faith-based. So I don't believe in flat Earth, but I can't believe in a globe. I've looked at it. I've looked at what I can observe and what I can measure. Real science is observable, measurable, and repeatable. And a globe would have things that we don't see here. And the idea of axial rotation is ridiculous. You look at flights, and the idea of actually flying against axial rotation or landing on a north-south runway is preposterous. Look at real world weapon systems, targeting, and think of the word line of sight. Because if people really think boats go over an edge between 7 and 10 miles, it doesn't explain how they can see further than that. So just want you to know, your own line of sight will tell you. And flat Earth isn't a silly thing. The word is, I don't have proof of where we live. As a matter of fact, a lot of physics breaks down when I look into it. So I'm challenging physics in itself. I'm challenging some of the powers that we don't know about. Even energies like what I call like love energy, and it's really powerful when you leave the house and you got your shit together and you go, man, life is good. So the energies that you create yourself, people are very, very powerful, and that's what they aren't telling us. And that's the biggest conspiracy, is that you're powerful and there isn't a limit to what you can do. And some people are fantastic, and unfortunately most of them are pricks because they know they could lie and it doesn't matter. So the people in charge are psychopaths because they know they don't have to care. Technically, I don't stop there. I always want to know why. And my theory is that they know that we get wiped out, just like the flood. And my theory is that if there is a zodiac, which represents 26,000 years and several ages, that halfway through that zodiac in 13,000 years, you're going to find possibly what I might describe as a pole shift. And with that pole shift, we'll get wiped out. The odd thing is if you type in 13,000 years ago, those words, 13,000 years ago in Google, you'll find that 12,900 years ago, everything got wiped out. Some cataclysmic event, maybe one of them dinosaur wipeout things. So my point is I think we get wiped out and we don't know our history. And I think that the turds in charge know that we're going to be wiped out. And that's why they don't care about the earth. Otherwise, it doesn't make a lot of sense how to not care, to have no empathy for others doesn't make a shitload of sense. There is a weird thing, about good and evil, and good and bad or balance. I think I'm more Buddhist in nature. So I'm looking for balance, which means that evil or adversity, adversary is necessary. What you might call a necessary evil. That's a lot to gather, thinking that, first of all, half the people you run into are average or less. That means below average. And then amongst that, half the people may not be any good. So we're dealing with a lot, rough odds for the people that are alert, awake, and even the people that are alert and awake. They got to have time. You got to have time on your hands. And you got to be free of whom you work for, Jared. If you work for someone, you got to answer to them. And that's what happened with all this COVID stuff. Is the government stepped aside, it made suggestions, and then they literally asked businesses to step in and enforce it. That was really weird.
Yeah, dude. So I'm just chiming in on here right now, but there's a few.
But I'm listening.
A few things, man. People are loving your cat, Dan. They want to know what the name of your cat is, unless you don't want that to be public information. But they want to know what's the name of the cat. Okay, Dan will be back. It's Dan's turn to take a break. So, looking through the comments here. So, guys, we were talking before, and I'm not exactly sure what Dan was talking about. I'm sure it was fucking rad. But it says here, how would you connect your flat Earth experience and simulation theory?
That's a fucking excellent question, man. That is an excellent question. If I can't find borders, if I can't prove the borders, that's because it's not physically here. Think about it. How much resource do you need? Eventually, we're going to have some resources that are of enough live capacity to convince people it's real, to go down to the bottom, go back both ways around Antarctica, and find out if you're looking at the mileage. Find out if you really went around a continent or if you went around the world. Pretty easy to figure out. Can you meet?
Do you think that there's any way? Okay, let's just say we're in a simulation. Why not? You know, we can't really disprove it, so let's just assume it. Is the creator of the simulation in tune? Are we free thinking, or are we only thinking things predetermined by the creator? That's the first question.
It seems we have some manipulative room within. I think it's almost like a game. Remember the early video game that you could make a wrong move, you know, like you went left to right, you could make a wrong move, but there was only one end. Even though you had all these options as to where you might go, there was only one ending, kind of like a maze. It was a maze, actually, I think. I can't remember the name of that game. But it seems that...
The Labyrinth?
Maybe, yeah. If there was a CD of music, and you and I both have it, and that was the way things are, that was the way life is, you and I may be accessing different points in it. For instance, let's say there's fate. So we're only moving along a pre-written story if it's in terms of fate. So do we have storyline limit options and limitations within the set fate is interesting. Also, you see me making the mistake of using a linear motion because we think time is linear. And it's just the way we sort of see time as linear. And it's kind of lame. You know, if you're going to get heavy.
Do you think that there's any possibility that the simulation was abandoned by the creator and it's just all hell's broken loose and now it's up to our own devices?
You're breaking my fucking heart. I never thought of that. I mean,
well, there's a quote: "If God is real, or if God isn't real, both are terrifying as realities." Right? It's kind of crazy to think. Well, I don't know if everyone believes that, but it's if God isn't real, that means we're really just here on to our own device, our own vices. And if God is real, then it was all created and there's purpose behind all of it. But I ask that because if the creator is still, you know, a part of this thing, if there is an agenda and everything is just rendered at the speed in which we experience it, would it be possible that they could just make the Earth look however they want at any given point?
Yeah.
And maybe as of right now, the simulation creator isn't ready for us to reveal any kind of true origin, so they just render the world as being around all the time?
Whether physical or not, let's say, I think I referred to this when I talked to you about the Mandela effect before, running a backup. Let's just say you ran a backup. You know, what if you died? And you weren't supposed to because of your grandkid who you haven't had yet. You know, and it's well aware because of the storyline. So imagine literally what we call God or powers that be, whatever that is, literally pulling from the backup. So the question is also, evolutionary speaking, or even for fun, wouldn't you have several? Let's say we were breeding kittens. You know, wouldn't you have some over here and some over there? And wouldn't it be interesting to see how some lived on their own and how some lived indoors and some lived outdoors? In other words, the great experiment may be one of many. It's just interesting to see how we develop. The silly thing here is how we're so riddled with species and varied plant life, and how it seems prior to human there's a lot of balance. There's abundance and balance. That's trippy. I don't think we fit. I'm pretty sure that the God's Wear designer or the Anunnaki theory shows that we don't fit. Plus, we're confused with our mental, you know, conscious and subconscious, because that's the spirit and the animal. And I think when you get good and you go through your lives, you know, however many lives you have to, you transcend the physical. I do think this is the learning place. I do think it's special. I do think, you know, you and I are living in miraculous times. You know, your fucking phone is a miracle in the quickness that it hears me and shows me a response beyond belief.
Yeah,
So
dude.
it's
If,
beyond
if, if people 100 years ago were told, even every now and then, it's a trip to me. Anytime I'm on the freeway, and I drive a Camry at the moment, and I'll see like a 1980 Camry, and I think, damn, in 1980 that shit looked space age. You know what I'm saying? And then I look at cars that currently look kind of space age, these newer electronic cars. And it's like, man, just imagine if people that lived 100 years ago, what the hell would they even think if they saw this shit? You know what I mean? Like, or what would they have thought if you told them, yeah, man, we're gonna have these little you couldn't even explain it. How would you explain to them in terms of they even understand? A rectangular object that you hold in your hand that you can see people wherever on the planet. Like, we're definitely living in a fucking crazy time. And to go back on the note you were saying that how humans don't fit, I have heard things about how the fact that we stand upright on the planet and it's bad. It's like we weren't really designed for it, because of gravity and all these things or whatever force that may be. It fucks our backs up, and we are out of place somewhat, right? I mean, there is some scientific evidence that proves that human beings are not the best adapted creatures on the planet. Is that not true?
Yeah, I mean, we have no weapons, right? I mean, do you know why we're a superior hunter? It's because of our ability to sweat, and we can essentially outrun nothing but walk all day, and most other shit will crap out before us. So that's why we're the top predator, because of our ability to sweat.
I assumed it's because we made weaponry, because just a human with their hands, I don't think I'm beating up a bear and eating it. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't think I'm going to beat up a fucking elephant, but I could shoot it if I really want. I wouldn't, but I could if I wanted to. Yeah. So I think our intelligence is our best weapon, isn't it? Like, to be able to build tools and be able to build weapons. And without those, we would be far inferior to most fucking creatures.
To be honest, though, I mean, like if you look at the buffalo kill in the United States or something, or you look at the plains of Africa, the abundance is ridiculous. We don't even need to be hunters. There'd be dead shit on the ground everywhere. We could scavenge all day long. Literally. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much abundance. Think about where we live. There's still deer and mountain lion and shit, rabbits, and abundant.
I often think about that. Like, human beings, are we the most evolved species, or are we the most ignorant species?
Totally the most ignorant. Totally.
Because I look at my dog, man, and my dog, like, we can all look at my dog as it's an animal and it's not on the same brainwave as us, and that's a bunch of ego talking, I guess. But like, he looks like the happiest creature on the fucking planet just to be around anything that cares about him. You know what I mean? And it's like, he knows where the water is, he knows where his food is, and I think that we've made it so complicated as human beings that the only thing we can do now is just figure out ways to fucking cause conflicts because it's interesting to some of us. It's like, let's just put it in the idea that God created us. We need to eat. So he put food everywhere. It's hanging from fucking trees. It's dying, like you're saying. It's on the ground. We need water. So we made 75% of the planet water. We also need oxygen. So oxygen is literally fucking everywhere around us. And anything beyond that is just us complicating the fucking matter. That's how I look at it to a degree. Is that the cat right there? People were asking, man, what's the cat's name?
Cat's name is Tiana Ortiz, kind of like Tito Ortiz.
Okay.
The
UFC fighter?
The fighter, yeah, exactly. So I gave her a last name. She's got a Mexican name. And believe it or not, one of her favorite things is to be beaten.
Yeah, I don't even think your camera's picking up how fast that is, dude. It's like pretty fucking quick how you're beating the drum on his head. It's like a paper towel roll or something, right?
Yeah, she digs it. I usually just use the empty roll. I mean, I didn't have an empty, but she likes the cardboard, and I, jam it up in her her like ear like this. And get her here there.
Yeah, I don't want this video to get taken down because of animal abuse. No, I'm just kidding, dude. It looks like she's loving it, dude.
She loves it.
But now I'm with you, man. And I don't think it was ever God's intention for human beings to have this level of intelligence and fucking this level of ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, Dan is in Catland now, guys. Once he starts playing with Tito, it's over.
They asked.
But I don't know. I often there's a lot of theory behind the whole metaphorical value of the whole apple and the serpent, and that was another interesting thing to me, that in the Bible the devil takes form of a serpent, of a reptile, and how ancient civilizations have statues. Like the Ubaid civilizations made statues of people, mainly female bodies with lizard heads, you know? So who fucking knows? But eating that apple metaphorically is man's first attempt at ego, because God said, don't do this. And humans thought, I know better than God, so I'm just going to do it at the persuasion of this reptile. And that's when consciousness came into full effect and we were able to realize that we're naked. And now all we have is problems to fix, as opposed to the creation to appreciate, because now we know too much. You know, that's my interpretation of things.
What is the name of that theater that has that weird snake design in it?
The theater? The man's like Chinese theater?
No, it's a religious hall.
You're talking about the Vatican. Yeah, how the Vatican it looks like a snake. Even like the term Lucifer is just light. But
I'm like, no way. They're really sitting under that? I'm like, no way.
It's all fucking crazy, dude. It's all nuts.
Oh, what do they call it? Hall of the Vatican. It's
something like that.
Head. It's a snake's head. Sorry. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, anytime I'll tell certain people that I believe in God. You know, that's my personal belief. Whether I don't know exactly, I just believe in the higher power and something that created us, because I don't think I evolved from a fish necessarily. But it's always religion that gets in the way. You know, it's always, well, all religion is bullshit. It's like, well, I mean, what people decide to do with religion is up to them, and they make it religious. I don't think God intended for us to be going in and making Joel Osteen a billionaire by giving him money to buy private jets and shit, and you know, all these other negative things that religion does. But it's just a great tool, you know, and that's why you have to separate the church and state. But the church and the Roman Catholics, I believe, still run the earth. Isn't that right? The Jesuits, is that who's doing it?
I'm pretty sure that just like military would fight for different military funding, different militaries, pretty sure that everyone is fighting and that there isn't one body in charge. I think things would be easier if it was, but there's just people stealing room wherever there is.
But wouldn't it make it easier for one person or one group to have total control if everybody else was too preoccupied trying to control each other?
Who's the leader of the U.S. intelligence agency then? I mean, that's a
who's the appointed leader?
Yeah, who's the figurehead, right? That's the problem, is we want to follow so badly, huh?
I was actually thinking yesterday, you know, like, why do we need a government? If we were intelligent, couldn't we? Because whenever I've heard that argument of why does a government exist, it's always, well, what are you going to do about railroads? And how are you going to, you know, what about police? And what about what about firefighters? And what about all these things that demand some sort of funding? But wouldn't it be just kind of cool if, as people, we band together and made our own communities where we grew our own food and we all pretty much donated ends and bartered goods for other people that would be appointed in, you know, being police officers? And there's a lot of cities and states that just run off of a volunteer system, you know. But I thought, man, it'd be kind of cool if we could just live in a society where everybody band together and helped out, because I think the government is the cause of most of the conflict. You know, I think most people, when you walk around, you don't get into major arguments that feel threatening until something that the government is in control of comes up, or something political comes up, or something the media puts out comes up.
Realistically, bureaucracy happens no matter what. It takes years for programs, and the people in charge are no longer there anymore. I think if you and I ever wanted to study something interesting, I'm just kind of noticing that if my grandfather made pizzas or candles or something, you'll find that the next generation carries it on, but the third generation drops off like flies. Like they don't have the same direct connection to the original energy. The grandkids aren't the same. They didn't see their grandfather build it. The kids did. And I think there's just a natural deterioration of that energy. Like at first, tradition's great, and then it just goes stale because of what's going on. I think I might have told you the story of the family of candle makers. And the youngest boy comes up and says, Grandpa, look what I made. He says, what is it, my boy? And he says, it's a light bulb. Of course, he smashes it right away. He says, you schmuck. We make candles for a living. You can't, so to break the status quo is hard. You're going to find resistance because it is what it is. Look how long it's taken for LED lighting to come around. Because you know about the light bulb conspiracy with GE and Osram and I think Bosch, the other one.
I don't. I haven't heard of it.
They stopped at 1,500 hours. The light bulbs weren't going to last forever. They'll never sell light bulbs again. So they all cut it off at 1,500 hours.
I often think about that. Like, why do electric cars need to be charged? If they have wheels, and if we can harness electricity from windmills, and we can harness electricity from putting a wheel-like apparatus, windmill-type thing in a flowing river, because the circular motion is able to charge a gear or something of that nature. Why can't electric cars just charge their own batteries?
They do with braking.
Well, they have rejuvenated braking, I believe is the term. But like, wouldn't just once the wheels start spinning, couldn't they harness at least power from two of those wheels?
It creates drag. Do you remember the old? You probably don't. We used to have these little generators that attached to our 10 speeds and made a light run, and the wheel went against your wheel. And when it got older, it created quite a bit of resistance. It slowed you down to have your light dragging on your wheel. So eventually you create drag when you literally are sucking energy off your forward motion. Literally.
Okay. That kind of makes sense. I'm not mad at that. It's got to
come from somewhere, right? It's got to come from somewhere.
And is there a light bulb that could actually harness solar electricity? Like, is there a type of bulb that if you put above solar panels, it would give it power?
Well, of course, there's glow in the dark. So if we worked with glow in the dark technology, it might literally just absorb enough light during the day to put off light during the night. Right now, we do it electronically with circuits and battery storage. But what's happened in the past 15, 20 years with LEDs is there's a lot less energy use, so you can get more done with power.
Someone wrote here, why can't we make a solar car? Which I've also thought, like, if we could put solar panels on top of a trailer, why can't, and at the same degree, are the solar panels that we currently have available to us the most optimal solar panels? Are they taking in the most energy possible within a solar panel? Because according to Tesla, 1 cubic foot of air has enough electricity to power like the whole planet. So I just look at it like, because there's a huge push right now to get everybody onto electric cars. It's like a big thing. All the federal government vehicles now have to be electric by a certain year. And with gas prices being so high, you're seeing more and more people bragging about how it's so cheap to fill up an electric car with electricity. It's like $3. But there's a huge push for it. So is it just a matter of changing us over from fossil fuels to electricity? I mean,
there isn't enough electricity. There isn't enough. They still make 65% of our electricity nationwide with coal. Are you fucking kidding me?
And that's because do you think that because the technology doesn't exist, but the idea that the sun creates enough electricity for everything to work over a million times over, do you agree with this notion, or do you think that that's bullshit?
We're used to abundance, so we don't work with efficiency. Even like today, I bet you still leave the water on while you brush your teeth. That's absurd if you lived in Africa or something. Absurd. But we grew up with water. So we don't think twice about it, right? You turn on the water, you brush your teeth, you spit it out, it ran for the minute, you didn't give a shit, right? But think about that level of waste that we grew up with.
I mean, it still happens all the time.
You know what I mean? You leave it on while you brush your teeth, right?
Yes and no. I actually sometimes I brush my teeth in the shower, you know. So, I mean, I don't turn it off in the shower. But so, you know, only because I know you were on somewhat of a time limit here, and I'm trying to stop this in a minute here. Someone asked the question about humans being wiped out. Do you think that there is a cataclysmic event upon us that is going to wipe humans out in the near future? And if so, what's your best guess on how far out we are from that?
Well, look up 12,900 years ago, and you'll find the cycle that I think exists that would have to do with polarity. Although it's all speculation, and I just like having an original thought. But I was surprised when I typed in 13,000 years ago and found that there was. So if my assumption is correct, the people in charge don't give a shit because they know we don't survive. Also, circling back to our conversation, if we're going to survive, you better be underground, right?
It is very. I often like movies. I think it's like 2012 or those movies where they, you know, the Earth's about to end and certain people have access to like either a submarine or a fucking spaceship that takes them up. I do think that rings extremely true. If that's not predictive programming, I don't know what is. I definitely think there's something to that. And solar panel. What are we talking about? Someone asked, "What are we, man? We're talking about so much Dom 760 that you're gonna have to just watch it once it's posted on YouTube and make notes, man. And you can tell us what we talked about. You know what I'm saying? But Dan, on that note, dude, it's always hard to end it with you, dude, because I just enjoy talking to you so damn much.
Well, let's do it short. That way we can pop on. We don't have to make a big deal and try and make it dramatic. You know?
Yeah, but not
full time. I'm usually around.
It's just fun, dude. It's always fun. But hey, Dan, I appreciate you being here, man. Let's do it again sometime sooner than later. And then, yeah, dude. Anything you want to part on, man? Anything that you want to throw out there? You working on anything? Anything where people can go check you out?
I don't feel like pitching much, but if you want to check me out, I'm Dan the Waterman on YouTube, Dan the Waterman on Facebook. And I'm trying to sort out all this flat earth stuff, you know, so... amongst it's ruining my life, you'll find me with pushingflatearthanonymous.com.
Right on. Well, hey, flatearthanonymous.com, guys. Dan, the Waterman, I appreciate you as always, dude. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you sooner than later, brother.
All right. Nice to see you, man. It really is.
Definitely. Likewise. Peace. All right, everybody. So that is going to go ahead and be the live for tonight. Again, thank you to the Toon Fellas. I don't know. Toon Fellas. I'm just going to stay at that. I put the link in the comments earlier. But shout out to them for hanging out. Shout out to all you guys. And what I'm going to do to end this off is I'm going to do it quickly, but I'm going to go through the things that I was told on Instagram people would like to hear me talk about. And we're going to make it like a 5-minute quick end all be all. So we have fun moments with Shane. Okay. I do have a story with Shane that's pretty fucking hilarious. I'll say it really quickly. When we were younger, one of the things that we'd like to do more than anything was make each other laugh extremely hard. Me and Shane both. Shane more than me, however, have weak bladders or little bladders. I don't know how to say it. But if Shane got to laugh at a certain point, he would sometimes, piss himself. And he was very young at the time. So this isn't like when he was like, 10 or 11 years old. But one time when he was like 5 or 6, we were out at a family dinner for my grandparents on my father's side, their anniversary. And when the waitress started walking around, I said, "Hey, I think it's, I'm so happy we came here for your birthday." And I was talking to my brother. I was talking to Shane. And so like 5 minutes later, the waitress comes out. Everyone's coming out. They're fucking singing happy birthday to him. They have the cake. And my grandpa was just like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on? We're here for our anniversary. Why are they singing happy birthday to him?" And we started laughing so hard. And I don't remember if he actually like pissed himself or not, but I wanted to help my brother out, so I purposely spilt water all over his lap so nobody would know the wiser. And but there's two funny parts to that. Funny part of me purposely spilling on his lap, and then us making it out to be like it was a birthday event for us when it was really my grandparents' anniversary party. That was pretty funny. Antarctica, apparently it's 70 degrees hotter right now. I'm not aware of that, but shout out to Queens of Wonderlands for that. We have the pyramids. I already talked a little bit about the pyramids in the beginning. How the moon could be a portal. That's a very interesting thought. That was by Rachel Duke. I don't even know what to say about that, to be honest with you. I'm gonna look more into the moon so I can have some more interesting thoughts on that. I'm sure that would have been a fucking awesome question to ask Dan. Conspiracies, more conspiracies. That was literally it. I don't know what to say about that necessarily. Thoughts on Kundalini yoga. Do you think people say it's dangerous to keep people from awakening? I think anything that allows people to awaken is probably strongly discouraged by the majority because they don't want you to be awake. So yes, I would agree with that. Psychedelics. Watch the last live. I talk about psychedelics for like an hour and a half. It's rad. The Matrix effect. I don't even know what that is, but Fifi Gamer 82. I'm gonna look into the Matrix effect. I don't know if it's a simulation, same thing, different. Life is a simulation. That's more of a statement, but I'm guessing you want me to talk about it. I would highly recommend watching the other video because and we talked a lot about the simulation in this video. So hopefully you got what you wanted there. The idea that aliens from inside are from inside the Earth. I would argue that, and this is KMSPNW, I would argue that we talked about that a lot, about the whole station in Malibu. We talked about lizard people possibly being underground. They would be aliens, in my opinion. So, guys, I got to all those Instagram things. I appreciate y'all being here. We're at like almost 2 hours now. I hope everybody enjoyed this live. Have a great rest of your day. And I don't see any other really pertinent questions going on here, but love each and every one of you. Love yourselves. Love each other. Love, peace, and chicken grease.